really trying to help bring structure in their response to TVET, and 2, in also mobilizing other partners. 3 is really ensuring that we help with building the right content for the knowledge and skills, as well as support the infrastructure at the country level. Now, it so happens that with our ongoing partnerships, we have South Korea that has been supporting TVET through its BEAR project. And presently, we have 5 countries in our region that benefits from BEAR 2. We know what COVID-19 has done, and it has slowed down the implementation of the project. Now, why we are here today is to see how can the interested partners work with our institutes like IGBA and IITE in providing some of the key areas of support that's required. There is, of course, the aspect of TVET instructors that will require training to build their capacities based on the area of prioritization of the country level, because they have quite a number of them. I will invite Mamor to also just introduce you to all of these later on. And so teacher training is one aspect, but you also have the leadership training, because you may have the teachers who are trained, but they are frustrated because they are working within management structures that don't give the same level of priority or value to their work. So we need to also look at targeting the leadership training of managers, training of supervisors, of the teachers. And so in working on this, we can target the institutions that train them, but we can also target those who really operate at the level of supervision. The other issue, which for me is another reason why I'm calling you all together, is the aspect of digital literacy for TVET students, the beneficiaries. So here we are looking at a kind of 3-tracked response here. One that looks at management, another that looks at teachers, and then a third that looks at the beneficiaries. We are aware that for a very long time, we have to really begin to get used to doing business unusual. And doing business unusual in this context is that how can we modernize how we train our TVET beneficiaries, TVET students, so that in going forward, they wouldn't just depend on old-fashioned ways of doing things. And so I recall there has been this idea of creating resource centers or hubs through which other institutions can benefit. It will require some degree of connectivity so that different institutions can benefit from the hub that's identified as the primary kind of beneficiary of the capacity building. And gradually we can engage government and other partners to give a similar support to other TVET institutions, but they will continue to benefit from this resource center. And I think already a very interesting model is in the making in Rwanda, where Wedong and IIT are already looking at something similar. So basically, these are the 3 areas. IGBA is going to look at issues of the teacher training or instructors of TVET training. And with that, we also want to make sure that the approach is not just using the old-fashioned way of developing the content, the guide, and then sending it through somebody to go and train. We also want to see, with the experience of what IGBA is doing, how can we leverage technology so that we can do it very quickly and in a short period of time make things happen. And so I leave it at that, and want to hear from IGBA, who's already got one assigned area and how IGBA is going to really proceed on that. And then we want to invite the additional building capacity of managers and leaders within the TVET sector. And then the third is how do we introduce digital literacy to TVET students. So I don't know whether Seydou has joined us yet. If Seydou has not joined us, let us just give Mamor very quickly 2-3 minutes to provide an overview of what Bear 2 is. And then we will come to IGBA to tell us how they envisage executing this task and how probably we can open up the space so that other IT partners can bring in the technology bit, like Wedong is ready and poised to do so, as well as Huawei, who's also talked to us about supporting TVET in some of the countries where they are. So Mamor, is it possible to just do a very quick, overview of Bear, and especially focusing, not a long narrative, but just focusing on the work at hand? Over to you.
Thank you very much, dear Anne, and hello, dear colleagues. I have the pleasure today to share with you the Bear2 project and the main program, Mainstreaming Insight. The Bear2 project is a joint program between the UNESCO and the Korean government, which target to develop, to implement the TVET in the 5 Bear2 countries in the Eastern African community. We have the Ethiopia, the Kenya, Madagascar, Uganda, and Tanzania. The project is targeting 3 expected results. The first one is how to develop the relevance of TVET based on the labor market analysis, to develop the curriculum in different countries and to implementation. The second, expected result is around develop the quality of TVET, and this quality target mainly the capacity building of the different stakeholders, among them the teachers and also the managers and also the TVET providers and the students. This activity that we intend to implement now, this program, the 2 programs, will cover the teacher training, which we have assigned it to IGBA. I hope that IGBA will get the occasion to highlight the different strategy that they want to use to implement this program. And this specifically, program will target after developing the different curriculum and the LMA in the different countries. We need to develop the capacity building of the teachers, the technical skills, the pedagogical skills, but also the ICT skills. I think that IGBA will come on this point. The second program is the managers and the leaders of Technical Training Institute program, which target specifically to develop the skills on management and leadership, but otherwise the skills related to the ICT, the open distance learning, and all which is around the IT integration. That's why we are here today to discuss about this. And the sub-program also, which interest has, that we need also to highlight, even that we can implement in 2021, is the digital literacy of TVET students, the 3 for TVET beneficiaries that the director has highlighted. And we are just here to look at how these IT partners can support the project on the implementation on the different project. We have already starting to work on the managers program in the part of developing the contents for the leadership part, and we need to have an IT partners to support in the development in the ICT part, the training part. The second part is handled, by IGBA, but I hope that IGBA will need also the support of the different IT partners to complete a part of the ICT training. Thank you very much, dear, and it's just what I wanted to share with you.
Very much, Mamor. I think you have clarified the 3 areas within this particular expected result. Let me invite IGBA. IGBA has been looking at it, and they already could also put on the table what they anticipate and how they intend to engage other partners. But likely the partners we are looking at would be working with the IITE as well as working with some of these IT partners like Wedong and Huawei, who've already clearly expressed interest in the area of TVET. So over to you. I don't know. I see Yumiko has joined. Who would be taking the lead? Yumiko, please, over to you. Yeah. Thank you for joining.
Okay, thank you very much, Antares, and thank you very much, Mamo and other colleagues. I think from ICBA, we are Saliu, Tamachen, and Jose, three gentlemen. Anybody else? Okay, so these three musketeers are going to be an excellent power for us. So I am asking them to come in later. I'll just go briefly. First of all, it is a wonderful opportunity for us to work on this Tibet in 5 countries. I am a bit familiar with this BEAR project when I was in charge of both the liaison office and ICBA, and looking at Ethiopia. This Tibet is a very much needed project, but I still remember when we talked about this, the state minister for in charge of Tibet said, this is too small for us to do something with an impact, but we like UNESCO's work, so we will make sure that this is innovative and creative. And that's how he accepted this project. So I think it is important that we will remember it. We don't have a volume, but we have a good quality. That's our scale. If somebody, can you please put your microphone mute?
I think it's Tawo. Is it Tawo?
Hi,
Your
Tawo,
your mic is open. Tawo and
no, it's closed.
Saliu, I think.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Thank you very much. So as you said, Antares, we very much would like to support in pedagogical teachers issues. And IIT and ICBA have already done the distance learning, online and distance learning. I think we can make use of it, this as a part of our package. Also, we would like Tibet teachers to be able to download and then use a lot of available resources. There is a lot of pedagogical support in YouTube and the other more sophisticated areas. So it is sky the limit. We have a lot of possibilities. Also, if it is allowed, I think we should focus a lot on IT skills. And in addition to IT skills, I would like to suggest entrepreneurship skills. A lot of Tibet, the traditional Tibet is very much on how to use the tools and so on, but it doesn't tell you how to market your materials, how to be entrepreneur, how to be self-employed. So this might be something that we can put on as a value added from ICBA. As you were there in the webinar Antares before, that when we were doing a peace education and prevention of violence and extremism, some young people said that we don't have work. What else can I do except joining the violent extremism, Al-Qaeda, which really is really stuck in my mind. So I think this is Tibet, but it is also part of the peace building. That's all from me. And Saliu, would you like to add what I did not get? You are more knowledgeable about this. Thank you.
So thank you, Yumiko.
Okay.
Yes, we go on.
Thank you very much. Okay. Thank you very much, Yumiko. Thank you very much, Anne, for allowing us to take part in this meeting. This is very important. And as Yumiko said, we are very grateful for the partnership we are building. As was said before, the 3 component managers, teachers, and students are the beneficiaries of this project. And one of the expected outcome that ICBA will be in charge of is the training of teachers and trainers of Tibet institutions. So if you consider the COVID-19 impact on Tibet sector, a new paradigm integrating the open distance learning is currently being developed in the targeted countries, according to our information, which means that we're not starting from scratch. And this new situation requires teachers with new ICT skills, as Yumiko was saying, covering knowledge around basic skills of online teaching and the digitalization of contents. Because yeah, this digitalization is very important, as we have already created an online platform. There could be some kind of mutualization between the various platforms we'll be using. Based on the wide experience of ICBA in developing the capacity of member states to increase the supply of qualified teachers through teacher education and teacher training, the technical assistance and standard setting and research, ICBA is engaged to B2 program in capacity building program. As I said, 5 countries. But among the 5 countries, we have 1 country which is a French-speaking country. I think it is very important that the consultant or the partner we'll be working with should have some expertise in French as well as in English. Anyway, the TOI will be developed shortly, just after, a few days after this meeting. But I would like to share some expectations that ICBA have from the partners that they will be working with. General expectation: the international consultants should have competency in pedagogy, in ICT, in entrepreneurship, as Yumiko was saying, in TVET, and this both in English and French. If we have an international consultant which is really which has expertise on those fields, that would be wonderful. And ICBA will supervise the whole process of the teacher training programs, the training needs analysis, the training, the monitoring and evaluation. And the international consultant will focus mainly on the design and development of the modules in English and French, the modules that will be used to conduct the training. Or also, as I said, digitization is very important so that the sustainability of the program can be ensured later on. For the specific assignments and deliverables, I think in the TORs, according to what we'll hear from our partners and their questions and their expectations. I think for the time being, that's all I would like to share with you, waiting for the next session to come again.
Okay, thank you very much, Sally. I believe it's clear you are looking at the content and the pedagogical skills, and that is what we expect from ICBA. You will have to sit with Mamor to really also go over the TOR and underline especially some of the expectations you have. Tao,
yes,
you would now really lead us with the IT related skills that we need. So here we are looking at content that ICBA is dealing with. And now you are going to, with the other partners, look at the issue of the IT skills and the digital literacy component. Can we hear from you? And so that we can also begin to understand how we will proceed. Thank you very much, Tao.
Thank you very much. And you understand our willingness, readiness, and the capacity. And my colleague Natalia has been engaged in discussion with Mama and your team for maybe a number of times, if I'm not sure. So she is in better position to brief you and other colleagues on IITE, how IITE could contribute to this project. May I invite? Yeah, Natalia. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay, dear colleagues. Okay, dear colleagues, good afternoon, good morning to all of you. First of all, thank you very much for inviting us to this project. And as Tao has already mentioned, IIT is ready to contribute to the implementation of this project in terms of ICT's development of digital materials, ICT trainings, and rising awareness among the specialists. Let me put your attention, focus your attention on their priorities, which we need to include into their terms of references or in following discussions. It seems to be in order to start this implementation in the right way, we need to have more information about the existing background of the targeted countries. It means that at the stage of the needs assessment, we would like to include some questionnaire, some survey regarding the ICT readiness of the targeted countries, including this country, Madagascar, with the French language, in order to understand their demands on ICTs. First of all, it will goes on infrastructure and connectivity, because in order to have very well arranged trainings, we need to know how to arrange it with what types of tools, online tools and distance products. So we need to know about the connectivity and infrastructure of these countries. At the same time, we are going to include some questions regarding the ICT competences of teachers and administrators, of managers, existing managers in TVET, to be well prepared for further development of training materials, guidelines, and providing trainings. So this is a kind of proposal from us, not only to include us as a partners in terms of trainings, but also to include us at the beginning stage of the development of the project, since the needs assessment and country project team meetings, I would say, because it is important for further development of the project. I think that it is all from my side, and as it was already discussed for a number of times with the UNESCO Nairobi office team, we will be glad to contribute in terms of ICT products, ICT portal, ICT digital materials and resources, and trainings, development of training materials and ICT trainings. So that's all from me.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
I think it complements what we've heard from ICBA. And as I listen to the two institutes, we need to really have a task team that would really clarify the TOR and then look at the aspect of the needs assessment and proceed from there. So we have not started. It's still at the very beginning, and this is now the time to move. Now we have to now invite the IT partners to see where they come in, because already, like for instance, Huawei had made an offer to support TVET. So probably as we go forward, we really need to see where would that hub sit in that particular country. We need to have one of the institutes where we must really begin to address as the hub for it to get moving. So let me invite Huawei. Adam is here, and then we turn to Wedong, so that we see what is the value add that they can bring to this project. And they too will be part of the task team as we define work and look at the expectations and the long-term outcome of our interventions. Adam, are you ready to chip in? We are now, it's rather premature to say a whole lot, but it is in view of what you've heard from the two institutes, what would be the value add from the side of Huawei, bearing in mind that you are also interested in TVET. Over to you, Adam.
Thank you, Anne, and good afternoon, everybody. Nice to speak to some of you. I think we know some of you already. Yes, we started a training program for TVET in Kenya in September, together with UNESCO. We reached, I think, 10 TVETs and 24 lecturers. The performance was not that good of the lecturers, which is not a criticism by any means. I think is a reflection for us in terms of how we maybe need to make additional effort in the training programs. Maybe we need more lecturers. Maybe we need to start from a more basic level, something like this. We probably need to discuss that more with UNESCO and some people maybe in the State Department of Tibet to discuss that. And I think that's probably a fair reflection of the huge need and I guess relatively low quality of some of the teaching that is there in Tibet, and why we should pay more attention to it. So that's our only experience so far, I believe, in Tibet. Most of our other training programs have been at a university level. So we are very keen to provide more training. We've actually now set up more basic training programs, which we have both self-learning and for free on the website, as well as being able to organize live teaching programs as well online. So we're very keen to do more of this training. That's not a problem. We are also happy to support the data bundles for the lecturers as well. And typically our approach is, we train the lecturers and later we hope the lecturers or whoever in the institute can then train the students. We don't directly train the students normally. But we are keen to do more. I don't know what else people would like us to do, but we're happy to contribute. There's lots of IT courses that we have. People may well know that Huawei doesn't focus too much on certain things like software. So we don't provide training on, say, Google or Microsoft and these things. So our training is mostly on cloud, big data, routing and switching, and some Internet of Things and other aspects. I think potentially one thing we could try to do going forward is to try and look at the lecturers who do not teach technology but need to think of how technology applies to their field. So if I can explain, when people are teaching transport related courses, of course, there's a lot of technology now in transport, whether it's simple things like billing systems, whether it's in CAD design and planning systems, whether it's in intelligent transportation systems and various other things. So I don't know how this would extend from beyond the pure ICT lecturers into the other kind of fields where they need to have more digital skills, or how we can do that. But that's something we can explore. So that, I don't know, I'm happy to answer more questions. I'm not sure what else we can provide. Okay,
thank you, Adam. I think this is just exactly how we're going to move. It's not just ICT, but TVET lecturers that would need to know how technology impacts on what they do so that they can have it modernized. And that's why we talk about the digitalized, digital literacy. So this is already good for a start, but we are looking at an offer that Huawei had really mooted before, where we will identify maybe a principal institution, TVET institution, and work around capacitating that institution to serve as the hub. Because given the number of institutions that we would want to deal with, we need to really be able to concentrate in each of the countries with one particular institution, like I mentioned, as is happening in Rwanda. But this is conversation for later. First, we really need to see how we build our competencies together, moving in responding to the need as would be defined. And we will look at those expectations later. Let's very quickly also look at Wedong. We had a discussion with Wedong earlier. Wedong also has interest in TVET. And so Wedong, is there any, in response to what the two institutes have just put on the table, where do you see Wedong coming in? Thank you.
Thank you, Andreas, and we're happy to be here again with you. Follow our meeting of last Friday, and this time I feel really a very family environment, because we know quite well UNESCO, and we had lots of exchanges with ICBA and also IT and Huawei. Just last week, Wedong Group got rewards from Huawei, like key partner, international partner for public institution cooperation education. So follow our meeting, our team prepared some concrete information and concrete example as Andreas asked us to prepare. to show you how concretely we can contribute to this project, not only for a pilot phase, for training for teachers, and also perhaps to build together for these 5 countries TVET digitalizing capability. So I would like to invite Florence, who will give you some very short presentation about our input. Florence.
Thank you, Shane.
Florence, can you hear me?
Sorry, I was talking, but it was not open. So I'm very happy. Hello to everybody. Have a good afternoon. There is a first thing I would like to talk about. May I share this document with you? Okay. UNESCO have been developing already a beer project in 5 countries already. So you probably have already some experience about what you've done, and it will be very interesting to share about what you learn from that, and what we can, how we can work with this to provide a good solution for the Beer2 project. That was the first point. I'm not sure we talked about. About this project, we've been thinking about how we can contribute to this project, how can we support it with our solutions, and specifically with the result, which is the one which is the most important in what you asked to us in this implementation, to enhance the quality of TVET delivery. And so there are different steps, as you said, in the Beer project. And specifically, after have been, there is a work to do about the training needs analysis in each country. And when this is done, when we know exactly what each country needs, what we are thinking of is to develop a specific, sorry, I go to the to this document. We can probably provide a specific digital learning pathway through a customized fluid book, which is a sort of solution that we can offer. This is a solution which is very interactive and which centralize all the pathway that we can offer, but maybe my colleague Sabine can talk about it in few words to explain you what it is and why it is interesting to develop that in that case specifically, to develop, to implement the training of the trainers and to give them the solutions to train the managers and the leaders with our contents in management and leadership. So maybe Sabine, can you take the...
Yes, of course, with pleasure. Thank you very much, Florence. Hello to everyone. So just very shortly, what you can see on Florence's screen here is, or I can share mine as well so that you can see actually the live version, is a bespoke fluid book that we've recently developed for a specific client. So one of the advantages of that, and I think you can see it with that example here, is obviously that it's fully customized. So in terms of graphic design, it can be fully customized, and in terms of content as well. Our aim with this fluid book was to have a document that is a support to the participant, to the learner throughout the whole journey, throughout the whole learning journey, and it really walks the participant step by step through everything that he needs to learn and achieve. So you can see that the first part is really a welcome page who explains that the program is divided in different steps, which we call excite, engage, embed. That is the first part to explain this. You can see as well that there is an introduction for the participant to what can he expect, how many models, how much time does it will take, how is split into session. So it really gives an introduction to the learner. Again, this is then the whole learning journey. And if I go a little bit further, you can see there are explanations around the content, and then we have for each session. So in this program, one session is between 3.5 and 4 hours. Again, this is for this specific learning program. Obviously, this will be adapted to each learning program. And here is an overview per session. So the learner is able to see what are the objectives of this session, but as well here to click and say, okay, what do I need to think about before coming to a face-to-face program or before coming to a virtual session? What do I need to do prior to that? And then what you can see here on the right-hand side is what do I need to do afterwards. So after each session, for this specific program, we have we came up with saying we want to put forward mandatory tasks, but as well optional tasks for learners who want to go a bit further. So again, Bespoke Fluidbook is basically a digital interactive Fluidbook. You can see that there's different things participants can click on to go a bit further. I won't be clicking on this link because it takes the learner to an LMS, which is possible as well. So we don't have access to this today, but you can see the interactivity and the sense behind that. Just a second very short example that you can see how the graphic design changes depending on what you want. This is what we have established for a different client. So you can see that the graphic design is very different and is again based on each individual case and what we want to achieve with that. Maybe in terms of how do we get to this final product, it takes some time to do this. So we need to count between 2.5 and 3 months until the final product. If we talk about the Fluidbook of 30 pages, like this example, this is also our recommendation to not go beyond the 30 pages because we think it's a good length to have for the learners. We will be walking through different steps in terms of project management. Start with a storyboard. So what is the content to establish the content of the Fluidbook? Again, I can show you just a very quick example of that. So this is an example of a project management plan where you can see to get to the final product of a Fluidbook. There's different versions of the storyboard, which is basically the content, so the text inside the Fluidbook. And then we will proceed with different versions of graphic design. So first of all, concentrating only on 6 pages. Once we get to the point where everyone is happy with what that looks like, then we will be designing the full Fluidbook, what you can see here on these steps. And you can see as well on that project plan, there are different very important validation steps where we say we're happy with what we see, we can go forward, or we need to adapt before going forward. So these are validation steps are really important for us. And then until we have the sign off of the last graphic design of the Fluidbook, and then basically we go into the last steps, which are proofread in each version for each language, production, and then obviously a final quality check. So with the example that you've just seen for the very recent one for Continental, we're currently translating into 6 languages and more are to come. So there's no boundaries in terms of how many languages you can translate into. When we're just talking about French and English, that's not a problem at all. It's very basic in this case. Thank you.
And also, I don't know if it was clear, and thank you for all this, Sabine. This Fluidbook is joined to a program with some face-to-face time and face-to-face workshop. And so what is interesting is that we can harmonize the way trainers will transmit the content we want in all the countries. And also we can, of course, and we have to adapt some pages for each country because we won't be working on the same sectors, and probably we will have some different things about that.
Thank you very much, Sabine and Florence. I think this already shows us there is good example of what can be done, looking at the level of management and leadership training. So that is also one of the components. And what we want to do right now, if there are questions, we can open it up for questions. But for me, it's very clear that we just want to agree on a task team so that work can begin. Let's look at if you okay. I see Jose's hand is up. So you can either put it in the chat or you ask questions. So over to you, Jose, you have a question?
Thank you, Anne. Yeah, thank you, Anne, for giving me the floor. I also thank the extend my greetings to the partners and for their presentations. I just have one question to Sabine, who has just presented that resource or that activity that they have designed called the Learning Pathway. Yes, I wanted to know maybe the software you used to do it, and also wanted to know if it is an open source solution, because when working with countries, it's always good if you have if you use open source solutions in such a way that you can teach them and also help them to get those solutions for free. This is for sustainability of our interventions. Thank you, Sabine.
Thank you for the question.
Okay, let's take Sabine. Let's just take 2 or 3 so that at least we would not spend too much time. Do we have any further questions before we open the handover to Wedong? No? Okay, Sabine, go ahead.
Okay, thank you, Anne-Therese. So most of the steps that I've shown you in the project plan are done in-house by ourselves. Everything that is graphic design, for example. So we use InDesign to do this, to do the graphic design. There is the last step of production to make it interactive that we work with a partner with. In terms of accessibility, when we talk about the bespoke fluid book, so a solution just created for this project, it can then be accessed by whoever you would like it to access. So there's no limit to that.
Okay, I think this is very clear. Any further comments, questions before we move on to the next? No. If not, what we really need to do is between the 2 institutes, IGBA is focusing on pedagogy and the content. We need to really have from both sides needs assessment carried out. So there's need to look at the TOR of the consultant that we may require to do the needs assessment, both in terms of the pedagogy and also in terms of the infrastructure. So this is important, and the task team should look at the TOR for this consultant. The second aspect would be also that the task team would then define how the work would go on in the 5 different countries, because while there could be a generic kind of training of the leaders, they have different areas of prioritization. And so therefore, a lot of work would be required going forward in looking at who has what competence to bring in. The third bit is on the infrastructure aspect. And this is crucial because if we're going to use ICT and we want to really introduce digital literacy, we must have one particular area where we would identify an institution where we would work with. And the whole idea of using BEAR2 is also supposed to help us in developing further proposals to go to scale to more countries. And therefore, the question that Jose asked is very, very crucial. How are we really, what type of software are we using, and is it open source, etc., etc.? And if you agree with me, then therefore, I want us to move away from the talking and then to already identify who will be on the first. There could be a technical working group, and then there could be subgroups. From the side of UNESCO, I think the office rather, we already have at least 4 people lined up that can be working with you, and Seydou will introduce them. There's Awal, who works on issues of teachers. He's a focal point for teachers, but we also have Tapiwa joining the team. Tapiwa is not with us today. We also have recruited somebody that is supporting on ICT in the office. So therefore, and then you have Mamor, who is the project coordinator. Then from the side of IGBA, they've already identified these 3 persons that will be working with these 4 in our office. IITE has Natali, and then from the side of Wedong, we also would need to know who are we working with, because we have to move very quickly and define the work, have it costed, so that at least within the first quarter of 2021, we will be able to begin to see some tangible results. Florence or Sabine has talked about 2.5 months or something to really roll it out. That is for the leadership level training. And then IGBA would also look at how much time it will require for the development of instructors, training of instructors. And then there is a component which is the digital literacy that would also benefit the students. So on that note, let me hand it over to you. If you identify who will, then Mamor will take over from there and structure the meetings, the output that we need, and the proposal that we are expecting to kick off this whole process. Do you have any further comments, questions? Yes, Shen,
Yes.
Your mic is on, yeah.
Yes, so thank you. And again, we appreciate all your very efficient leadership. I think we can move on very quickly with your team. From Wedong's side, we have 3 persons who will follow this with your team. Junbao, who is in Nairobi, so it's a very closely relationship with you. And Olivia, who is in Beijing, leading our technical and infrastructure solution. And Florence from Paris, of course, could be supported by Sabine, other demos and Ramsey Fraser colleagues to provide you all about contents and also learning management system. So these 3 colleagues will be closely collaborated with your team and us.
Thank you very much, Shen. So at least it seems we've got all the parties from the 2 institutes and then from the 2 IT partners. Adam, do you have any additional names to give from Huawei side?
My colleague Michael and Jingwen will also be the contacts, but you can also just email me for the moment. I'll add them into the conversation.
Okay, this is very good. Today is the 26th, and this task team should already set to work so that we have some clarity on the milestones and the expected outcome. And if need be, we need to also have an idea of the costings of what needs to be done. IGBA had already been assigned the teaching part, the pedagogy part, but that cannot be done in isolation of the IT solutions. And it can also not be done without understanding the medium and the process of delivery. So can we agree that Mamor, you will get all these names? This is the 26th. And we could have a first convening maybe by the 18th of December to hear what exactly you are going to do, the costing of it, and we move things very quickly. Would the 18th be, I don't know whether the 18th is even a weekday. I'm just from the top of my head. Either the 17th or the 18th, look into the diary and see what day would be those. Anyway,
it is Friday.
16th.
18 is Friday.
Okay, yeah. So anyway, we can look at between the 16th and the 18th so that at least we can convene a similar meeting, but one which is more structured, showing us exactly the direction and identifying the milestones and when we can accomplish what and how we're going to proceed. I see Saliu's hand. Yes, Saliu?
Thank you, Anne. This is something maybe I will discuss further with Mamor, but I would like to, call on board our colleague Hungi Ungi, who is in the meeting, who is a research specialist. That's what I wanted to share with you.
And I'm very open right now. I just want us to get a task team moving. So is Ungi, did you say Ungi? Is Ungi ready to say something?
Ungi Njora.
No, it's not on the call.
Yeah, hello. I am on the call. I'm joining. Hello, good afternoon, everybody. This is Ihungi. I'm joining for the first time, and I had some problem with hearing what Saru said.
No, I was just saying that we will benefit from your backup in the team that IGBA will be proposing as a research specialist.
Yes. That's quite fine with me. Thank you so much, Salu.
Thank you.
Okay, then this is perfect. You're going to get a big team because each of the institutions may have 2, 3, 4 people that they are recommending, and then you will have sub-components of the task team so that things can move. Because that way we will be able to have something to bring back to all of us between those dates which you can agree upon from the 15th to the 18th of December. And if we agreed on this, then no other questions, no comments. I want to thank you all again for joining this meeting and your readiness to support TVET. This is just an initial phase. And what we are looking at is to have a handle on how do we mobilize other partners because we are able to show and tell. Once we make success in one area, because in each country, they have identified one discipline, for instance, post-harvest in agriculture. You know, how do we go about it? So what do we do? How do we really build the content? How do we train the instructors? How do we ensure management is really up and running? And then with that, we can mobilize more partners who would see results and then be prepared to come on board. If nothing else, thank you so very much. I'm trying to be efficient so that we move on very quickly. I have another webinar. I thank Huawei, I thank Wedong, I thank IITE and IGBA for this joint initiative that we're going to experiment with and see how far it takes us.
Thank you, Andres.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Anne.
colleagues. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Stay safe.